Okay, in this video, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how I grade interactive notebooks. And so I wanted to start here and kind of talk to you about the two different ways that I grade notebooks. And then I'm going to pull up some Google Classroom examples and kind of show you what I do. So I assign all of my notebooks through Google Classroom. We're a Google Classroom school, so that just makes things a little bit easier. In my formative way of grading notebooks, I wanted kind of a quick, like, fly by the seat of my pants. I want to see that you got the assignment done. Check. And one thing you're going to notice is if you're trying to open every kid's notebook and scroll to the exact slide you're checking, and then close it, and then open the next notebook and scroll to the exact slide you're checking, it's going to take you hours to grade one class. I want to see one slide or two slides. I want to see like quick, no different than in a traditional interactive notebook, the student coming up to you at the end of the class and saying, "Hey, I finished. Can I have a stamp?" Um, Same idea. I used to always do like a punch card. And so the kids had it taped inside their notebook. And then if they finished that assignment, they could get a punch on their card. After they had so many punches, they could turn it in for credit, a bonus on a quiz or extra credit, something like it was an incentive to keep them working, basically. Um, and then we kind of lost that with the digital aspect. And so, again, I wanted something quick. So I teach all of my kids how to download images of their individual slides or how to screenshot their individual slides. And every computer has a different screenshot keystroke function. So you just need to look up, like, if your school has issued computers to your kids, look up whatever the brand name of the computer is, whatever model it is, and see if there's a keystroke function for the kids to take a screenshot. We're Chromebook users. Our kids are, the teachers aren't, but the kids are. And so a screenshot on a Chromebook is the control button and the weird square above the six. It kind of looks like a box and it has extra lines on one side. They push them at the same time and it takes a screenshot of their screen. They go to Google Classroom and they upload that picture. It takes them a minute once they get used to it. And it saves me hours of opening programs and opening files to grade. So it's a quick, like, they know I make them 5 or 10 points max. I just want to see that you got the assignment done. When we're completely done with a notebook, I push notebooks out per unit. So when we're completely done with a notebook, I will have them officially turn in their entire notebook on Google Classroom. When it comes to that piece, I use a Google Classroom rubric. When you set up an assignment on Google Classroom, you can attach a rubric to it. I use a pre-made rubric every single time. I downloaded it once as a Google Sheet, and now I just attach the same one every time. So it's no extra work, and I can show you how to do that in a second. And this is my basic notebook rubric. Once upon a time, I used to like sit and make a list of every assignment, and they get 2 points if each assignment's done, or 5 points if this assignment's done. And guys, it takes too much time. And then you go to collect notebooks and you forgot to make the rubric and things get crazy. And so I figured out pretty quickly that it's easier if you just have a pre-made rubric and you just go off of that. And so my rubric is they get 5 points for their table of contents being done. I give them a blank table of contents. They have to fill it in. I give them 5 points for all of their warm-ups being done. I give them 15 points if their assignments are done. These are things that, like, I don't know, we did in class, or they were assigned for homework, but it would have been like a study guide or a graphing activity or something. And then I give them 15 points if their notes are completed. Typically, one notebook will have about 3 to 4 sets of notes in it. They're about a page each. They'll be spread out throughout the notebook. So did they do all of them? They get, the 15 points. And then 10 points for overall organization. Considering the fact that I push their notebook out to them in order, the only way that they lose those points is if they really screwed up their notebook and they didn't ask for help to fix it. So their notebook should be in order. This is one of the perks of a digital notebook as opposed to a paper notebook. For some reason, when we used to do paper notebooks, I would have certain kids that it was almost like they just opened the notebook to a random page and did the assignment. And then they'd open the notebook to a random page and do the assignment. I'm like, what are you doing? And so this totally eliminates a lot of that. And so let's take a look at my Google Classrooms, and we'll kind of see two different ways that we do that. So this is an example of a singular, like, on the fly notebook. I want to see one page type of assignment. So this is usually how I word it. On a side tip, I label all of my assignments in Google Classroom by week. And then in my school grade book, I match that. So it's also labeled by week. This has really helped students find assignments when they can't find them. I always title it whatever the title of the notebook page is. My goal is not to trick them. And then I usually throw in the words notebook pages just for safe measure. I always follow the same format. It's literally the same assignment post reused, just with different notebook assignments. So it'll say, turn in the following notebook slides as an image. It can be a JPEG, or a screenshot. I'll list each slide that they have to include. I won't collect more than 4. I have collected 6 before. It gets risky. It just depends. So I try to stick with 3 or 4. My study guides are usually 3 slides, and that's kind of a big deal. So this is pretty normal. Most of the time it's 1 slide, and that's super easy. It'll say questions or confused, refer to this week's planning doc. It's a weekly calendar that I give them for more details. And for the last few, I'll probably stop including this next semester, but for the last few, I've included, if you're having trouble figuring out the download option, this is those screenshot buttons that I mentioned for a Chromebook. So control and the weird square above the 6. So I throw that onto every assignment just so there's no excuse they didn't know what buttons to push, etc. This is what it looks like on the student work side. So you can see these are all students that turned it in. These are students that did not turn it in. I can click on one and I can easily see, yep, she filled that one in. Yep, she filled that one in. If I'm super worried about what they wrote, then I can click on it and open it. I will be completely honest, between teacher to teacher, I don't always open. I just check to see that they filled it in. Don't tell my kids that. So, but I just check to see that they filled it in. Sometimes Google, and it looks like she didn't complete these, but like right here, sometimes Google like moves their text boxes down. Things get a little bit dicey. So you kind of just got to like look and see. But if I open her notebook, it doesn't look like that. It's weird. It has to do with when the picture's downloaded. But I can easily see that she filled in the different things that I asked her to do. She watched the video, she answered the question, and she did a good job. So this would be a good example of just an on the fly. But you'll notice like I can go down and I can see exactly, what each student did. For a full notebook check, it would look more like this. And so when I originally pushed the notebook out to them, it's on Google Classroom. So it would be through the same post. That way it's the same notebook attached. The rubric looks like this. So I have table of contents, daily warm-ups, assignments, notes, and overall organization, and for a total of 50 points. To attach a rubric, if you've never used rubrics in Google Classroom, it's right here. Let me move my picture here. It's right here under this rubric function, and you just tell it, that was wrong, here. Let me remove it, and then I can re-add it. So this is what it looks like normally. You click rubric. So the first time you can create a rubric, then if you have it on a previous assignment, you can click reuse rubric, or from the rubric that you've already created, you can download it as a sheet. So that's what I did. And now I just import it as a sheet each time, and it'll pop up right here, notebook rubric, and I click the blue box and it adds it, and we're good to go. Click save. You can change the name on it or anything else you want, and you're done. So the kids can open that similar to the way I did. They can just click on it and they can see exactly what they're going to get graded on. And then the really cool part is when you're grading notebooks, none of these have been turned in because they're due next Wednesday. But when I actually grade their notebook, you can see the rubric right here. And then you just scroll through the slides. And as you click these boxes, so all the way to the left will give her all 5 points, all the way to the right will give her whatever the lowest number I put was. And as I scroll through them, it'll add up for you. So these are the 2 ways that I grade notebooks. So kind of one day at a time, I'll have them take a picture or download the slide as a picture, and just turn that in. And then every few weeks, I'll have them actually turn in their entire notebook when we're finished with them, basically. And that's when they get their big participation grade for completing their notebook. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.